comes to the best places to visit for the Halloween season, there's no better place to go in New England, and maybe the entire country, than the town of Salem, Massachusetts. I'm sure me just saying that name conjures up images likely of the Salem witch trials in colonial America. And there is a lot of history to see in Salem besides its connection to the witch trials and to the spooky and the Halloween season. But I did want to focus on that, and that's really why I have it shared in this week's road trip in the October month, in time for Halloween. For those of us that grew up in New England and that live in this area, it might even seem almost cliche to go to visit Salem during this time of year, but there's a reason why it's so popular and gets so many thousands of visitors this time of year. For those of you looking to go to Salem in the next few weeks, there's no shortage of things to see and do. In fact, there are several websites dedicated just to these events this time of year. There's hauntedhappenings.org, salemhalloweencity.com, and salem.org that all have lists of things to see and do. As far as the nuts and bolts of the town of Salem go, as of 2021, it had a population of 44,819, and it's located a little more than 20 miles north of Boston and a little less than 60 miles southeast of Manchester, New Hampshire. If you've been to Salem before, you probably have an idea of what you want to see and what you want to do when you go there. But if you've never been and this is going to be your first time, you might want to do a guided walking tour. Visit salem.org and check out the Salem Ghosts walking tour. They do it either during the day or at night, a nighttime pub crawl, hitting up all of these possibly haunted spots and ones that have connections to the witch trials. I can't keep mentioning the Salem witch trials and not give you kind of a Cliff's Notes version of what it is for those of you that may have no idea what it was or want a little more detail and a refresher. Between February 1692 and May 1693, more than 200 people were accused of witchcraft. There were numerous arrests in Salem and the nearby towns of Andover and Topsfield and Danvers, which was then known as Salem Village. In this mass hysteria over purported witchcraft, 30 people were found guilty. 19 people were executed via hanging, with one man, Giles Corey, being killed via pressing because he refused to enter a plea. If you don't know what pressing is, think of it as being put under a large plank of wood with stones piled on you over and over and over until eventually the weight is so much that you literally get crushed. The witchcraft hysteria was not unique to Salem and the North Shore of Massachusetts. Between the years of 1400 and 1782, between 40 and 60,000 people were executed under suspicion of witchcraft, with most of them being in Europe. Located at 24 Liberty Street is the Salem Witch Trials Memorial. It's a little park with 4-foot-high granite walls and benches, with each bench having the name of someone executed, how they died, and when they died. If you're there visiting the Salem Witch Trials Memorial, you should also visit the Witch Museum at 19.5 Washington Square North. Also visit salemwitchmuseum.com. They've got so much information, including documents from the witch trials that are, 330 years old. The museum is open year-round, but they have extended hours during October naturally, including 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays during October. And it might be wise to purchase tickets ahead of time, knowing how popular this area is, especially this time of year. Another obvious stop for those of you visiting Salem is the House of Seven Gables. It's located at 115 Derby Street and also sevengables.org with the number 7. It's a beautiful 1668 colonial mansion that was made famous by author Nathaniel Hawthorne's book, The House of Seven Gables, that was released in 1851. If you visit sevengables.org, they even have a section on the website about the legends and lore of Salem. that give you ideas of places to visit in haunted Salem, besides the House of Seven Gables, the murder of Captain Joseph White at the Gardner Pingree House, and there's the old Burying Point Cemetery, which is one of the oldest cemeteries in the country. It was begun in 1637, but before 1673, all of the tombstones were made of wood that deteriorated, so there's no markers. However, if you're looking for the burial spots of any of the people accused of witchcraft, you will not find them there, as most of their whereabouts are unknown. Since being accused of witchcraft, they weren't allowed Christian burials, so no one knows where most of them are. And the cemetery is located right next to the Witch Trials Memorial, so if you find one, you'll see the other. I could keep going on and on about all of these incredible historic and haunted and spooky places to visit in Salem, because they've got more than just about any other place in the country. However, I'm sure there's some of you listening that want to know other things to do there besides visiting haunted spots. There is the Salem Maritime National Historic Site. It's centrally located at 160 Derby Street, but consists of 12 structures, a replica tall ship, and about 9 acres of total land. The Salem Maritime Site is notable because it was the first National Historic Site established in the United States, being done on March 17, 1938. The replica tall ship, known as the Friendship of Salem, is right near the beginning of the Derby Street Wharf. At the end of the roughly 1,500-foot wharf is the Derby Wharf Light Station. It's a little white square tower that was built in 1871. And naturally, you know, if you've listened to the podcast, I enjoy lighthouses just a little bit. So I've been to Salem to visit that spot. Naturally, being right on the coast, there is beachfront property. You can go to Winter Island Beach / Waikiki Beach. Yes, they have one in Salem, not just Hawaii. It's at 60 Winter Island Road. There's also Fort Pickering, which is a 17th century historic fort site. And there's also Fort Pickering Lighthouse, also known as Winter Island Lighthouse. This 28-foot tall lighthouse was also built in 1871. And it's here along the rocky north shore of Massachusetts that Salem feels less spooky and haunted than if you're walking the streets. But with so much to see and so much to do, you're going to build up an appetite wandering around the streets of Salem, whether during the day or at night. And if you're hungry, you should check out the Village Tavern. They're located at 168 Essex Street and also villagetavernsalem.com. There's 3 bars and 2 different menus with typical pub fare, chili, nachos, pretzels, but also prime rib. And they've got entertainment. They do private catered events. Go to their website and check out the menu and the pictures and such. It'll tempt you to go there for sure. And I would highly recommend spending the night in Salem. Naturally, if you're going to do haunted tours, they have to be after dark. So it would probably be easier for you to just rent a room at the Hawthorne Hotel. They're located at 18 Washington Square West and also hawthornehotel.com. It's a 93-room brick facade hotel right on the water. The hotel's been around since the 1920s. They have their own tavern inside, so if you get there and you don't want to venture out, you've got options. There are special packages they do, and you can get more details on that on their website. And there's so much more to see and do than I'm able to fit into this road trip segment, but that's typical for all these places I talk about. For Salem, it's even worse, though. I'm trying not to gush too much, but this is a place that if you haven't been to, October is the perfect time of year to go, but you can go any time of year. These haunted spots and the Witch Trials Museum, and the House of Seven Gables, they're there year-round. It's just more fitting this time of year. Visit salem.org, also known as Destination Salem. It's got so much in terms of attractions and restaurants and where to stay. And it's a very walkable town, so park your car and just wander around. There's all sorts of little historical things, nooks and crannies that you might not see on typical websites. And that's the best thing about these road trips, is just going there and finding your own way. I find things I hope that you'll enjoy when you go there, but you never know what you're going to find in any spot. Take your car and just point it and go. And maybe at some point in the future, I'll do a longer segment on the Salem Witch Trials, but you can find all you need to know at the Salem Witch Trials Museum. And next week, we'll continue the Halloween season. It'll be hard to top Salem, but I'll try to find another spooky destination in New England for you all to go and check out and get scared at.